Hi folks, so got something a little different than Steve brought by. He brought me a whole pile of stuff I'm still digging through. This is a Fisher X-202 stereo tube integrated amplifier. It's rated to put out 40 watts channel. Spoiler alert, it's not. It's got some pretty serious distortions, and I'll go over what I've already looked at, but we got our work cut out for us. So without any further ado, here we are. Steve's done a lot of work to this. He's replaced filter caps, replaced a lot of other capacitors inside here, and other work looked like it's been done to it. However, it's got some ugly looking output. So let's feed some signal in, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. By the way, tube amps carry lethal voltages. 120 volts AC can be a lethal voltage, of course, and I know some folks are in parts of the world where you have 240 volt mains, but the watchword is always caution. When you're working on something like this, be really careful where you grab it. If you're going to turn it over, and I'll be turning this over several times, don't put your fingers in anything. As a buddy of mine used to say about stuff like this, don't put your lips on it. So let's take a look. I'm going to put some signal in, and I'll show you what it's doing. So if we put a small amount of signal in, it looks okay. Of course, this is putting out virtually nothing. So as I turn the volume up, we've got like not even half a watt here, 0.05, 0.02, and the distortion's already way out of whack. And if we turn this up further, you can see those sine waves aren't really sine waves, and our distortion is starting to go through the roof, and we're not even putting out 1 watt yet. So we got some problems here. It's affecting both channels, and the more you turn it up, the worse it gets. So let's take a look at the schematic, and I'll show you the approach I'm going to take. So if you take a look at the schematic I've got up here, you can see that the balance control is the last thing before it feeds the output stage. Taking a look up where it says AF amp up at the top or up the bottom here, they are both tapped from the balance. So this is where I want to check it to see how it looks, and it's very important when you're probing tube amps with your oscilloscope, make sure that your scope is in AC coupling, because these amplifiers have a lot of DC voltage in a lot of different places. I don't think this does because it has capacitors to isolate it, but you do have to be careful. You could go across the tube socket, look at the plate, have several hundred volts DC going into the input of your scope. It's not going to like it. So anyway, I have signal going in, I have the volume down, and I am tapped across at the top of the balance control. Don't know which channel, don't care, just want to see one of them and see what it looks like. And as I turn the volume up, you see nothing because I turned it off. Let me turn this back on. I'm going to pause the camera because this needs a minute to warm up. Okay, so it's warmed up now. You can see I'm in AC coupling, and as I turn the volume up, we have an absolutely flawless sine wave. Starts to go south up here, but I am almost all the way up on this. In fact, that is all the way up. So we have a really good signal here. As you can see, looking at the distortion analyzer, which is still looking at the dummy loads, we're looking at 29 to 27% distortion. Not good. So that's going into the balance control on one channel. And let's see if I can get the other channel. Nope, let me see. Sorry, working around the camera, I don't see so well. Yeah. That channel does not look so hot. So we may have more than one problem in here. Oh, sorry, that's... So we look good on one channel, not good on the other. That channel is good. This channel is not. All right, so like I said, there may be more than one problem. Let's dig in. Okay, so I had a problem here because I couldn't really see what I was doing. These three taps here are one channel. This is the signal going in, the bottom one goes to ground. Back on here, we have a tap that comes out, so there's 4 leads for each channel. And I was over here tapped on this lead when I saw a bad signal, but actually I should have been back here. And I also, because when I make mistakes, they always usually more than one, the left channel input had gotten pulled out. So both the inputs of the balance controller are good. I'm going to focus now on the output stage. If you take a look at the schematic here, we come out of the balance control, we go directly into these audio frequency amps. Channel A is V5, channel B is V10, and that is split. One part of the triode is our audio frequency amp, the other half is our phase inverter. So I want to take a look at the signal coming out of the audio frequency amp at pin 6. Easiest way to find that is to tap it off of this 470K. They have 680K in parentheses, but this unit has 470K resistors in there. And when I feed signal in, we get something out that looks like that. Not good, not good at all. So let me take a closer look here at this tube on this channel and see what we can figure out. If you look down in here, this is our 470K. I'm not sure how well you can see the color bands on that, but it is yellow, violet, yellow. According to the schematic, if we look at V5 and that 470K resistor R52, we should have 260 volts going in, and at the plate of V5, pin 6, we should have 110 volts. If we look at one side of the resistor, we have 276 volts. That's fine. This is not regulated. We should have 110 on the other side. We have 1.8 volts. And if we look at V10, same resistor, they get tapped off the same place here. And I'm going to have to move the meter just a little bit there. Let me move the camera so hopefully you can still see the meter. And I don't spark anything here. I see 8.3 volts. There should be 110 volts there. I want to take a closer look at these resistors. All right, we might be closing in on at least part of the issue here, because that 470K? Hang on. Yeah, 470K resistor is reading 3.3 mega ohm. If I take a look at the other one here, if the lead's tarnished or it's just completely open. Yeah, this one looks like it's completely open. So I think we found at least part of the problem here. I'm going to replace these 470K ohm and we'll see what we get. Alright, so I took these out. These are carbon film. These are carbon composition. The dark brown body is what gives them away. I replaced them with carbon film. And if you look at the LCR meter back here, I got one of those connected, and you can see, and let me just move the camera. we've got about 25 megohms on one of them, and this other one, oh, it's much better. Oh, 398 megohm. That's why I read open on my Fluke. I think it only goes to 60. So yeah, both those resistors were for all intents and purposes open. And now that I've replaced them at the plate of V5, I now have 118 volts instead of 1 volt. So, did that fix our problem? It fixed part of our problem. And I'll show you what I mean, because now when we put some signal in, we get a little better output. Now we don't have much output to speak of yet. And if I turn it up, yeah, that's not even 1 watt. You're supposed to be able to get 40 watts of channel out of here. It's better, but it's not right, because if I turn it up, we get this, and we're not even close to full output. So the max we're getting out of here right now is about 10 watts of channel on the left, 7 on the right. A lot of distortion, so it's still not right. We probably got some more drifted resistors. Carbon composition resistors are the worst. They don't age well. They tend to drift way out of spec. These, I wouldn't even call these drifted, I just call them open. But anyhow, I'm going to see what else. I'll take some voltage measurements, because that's how we were able to zero in on that. So I want to talk a little bit about this particular amplifier. Most of the time, when we have a problem affecting both channels of a stereo amplifier, we look at commonalities, and in most cases that's the power supply. What's common between both channels? Because it's exceedingly rare, but not unheard of, to have a problem in both channels. And that's why when we're working on things, it's important not to get hung up on our hypothesis. We have to have a theory of where to start, but it's also important to keep an open mind, because as you saw in this case, we had the same problem in both channels. 2 separate resistors, 1 in each channel, opened up. I actually had the same thing happen in a Soundcraftsman. It didn't belong to Steve. Actually belonged to me. Stranger things have happened, I suppose. But that's why you need to be open-minded and say, well, maybe it's not a commonality. Maybe it's the same thing in both channels. And as you saw, by using signal tracing and voltage checks, we were able to home in on a small area and determine what the problem is. The other thing I want to point out is I have worked on a fair amount of tube equipment, but it was predominantly guitar amplifiers, single channel, classically poor frequency response from high fidelity standards. And I had mistakenly thought that this amplifier put out 40 watts per channel. And since I've dealt predominantly in solid state stereo amps, the specs always read both channels driven. These are not measured that way. These power supplies will sag because they have 2 rectifiers. And it's not going to put out that kind of power. You have to measure each channel separately. And I had looked at the Fisher X-202B for specs, and they use different output stage entirely. So I had the wrong number in my head to start with. This unit will put out about 14, 15 watts a channel, each channel driven separately. It's not a powerhouse, but it does sound good, and you'd be surprised how low wattage amplifiers will drive your speakers to a fairly loud level. Because of the logarithmic nature of our hearing, you need to get 10 times the output power for double the perceived loudness. So I just wanted to point out some of the things that I had tripped over in hopes that you won't trip over them too. And by the way, I found a video from a gentleman who goes by Renaissance People NYC. He had troubleshot this amplifier and found the exact same thing. Those 474K resistors that opened up in both channels. He looked at them a little closer, saw they had like a seam on the side. He said they were not the usual higher quality resistors used in Fishers. But anyhow, he found the same thing, and when I watched him calculate power, I realized my mistake. So anyhow, I just wanted to point these things out. I'm going to sign this thing off right here, and you know what? Let's play some music through here before I sign it off. I kind of wish I would have played some music through this before I fixed it, just to see how distorted it was, but I didn't. And anyhow, now we have some music playing through here. And it'll get pretty loud. It's 6 in the morning here, so I don't want to crank it up any further. But anyhow, that was a successful repair. That was all that was wrong with it. I spent way too much time yesterday troubleshooting a problem that didn't exist. So again, I'd like to point out my mistakes so others won't make them. And I thank everyone for watching this as always. And I enjoy giving back to the community that has given me so much. So thanks a lot, folks.